The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Need a show about outdoor living? This is where it's at. With your hosts, Shane Chapman and Way Laurent. Thank you for tuning in. Now let the show begin. Yeah. The Ultimate Deck Podcast. Let's go.
Welcome back, everybody. Wade and Shane from the Ultimate Deck Podcast here to serve you with incredible amounts of value on this audio platform.
So much knowledge.
They call podcasting. 5 years, 6 years we've been doing this. Did you know that?
Did you know that I did these last 3 episodes in the same shirt?
Yeah, you did. The funny thing is when people
5 years?
More than that, man. It's been like 6 or 7 years. So people often ask us when they're new to meeting us, they're like, how long have you guys been doing the podcast? Like, that's really cool. And we're always like, yeah, like 3 or 4 years. Like, it's been quite a bit. No, because we started this at the Dewdney Avenue location, probably year 1 at Dewdney Avenue location, if I had to guess.
So we were there for 2 years.
Might have been year 2. But even if it was year 2, this is 6 years. It's 6 to 7 years, no matter how you slice it. Isn't that crazy? It doesn't feel like that long. And it's 240-ish episodes in.
That's such a commitment.
And we do
It's a good
an
thing you didn't tell me
episode.
how big of a commitment this was going to be when we first started.
We do an episode a week, so we're at about 5 years worth. Like, we've missed some here and there, clearly. But,
Yep.
But anyway, a long time to do a podcast, telling you. The OGs in the deck world of the podcast
Man,
stuff.
alive. That's a lot of podcasts.
It is, yeah. You and I have sat here and talked to each other about this shit for like probably 240 hours.
You know what would be better is if we could just be mic'd up all the time, because even when we don't sit in front of the mics and talk about, we talk about this shit all the time.
Right. And then people get to hear the real good stories.
So much editing.
Yeah. What's up? Are you golfing this week again?
Speaking of podcast,
You haven't invited me yet, so I'm wondering, like,
you want to go tonight?
I can't. No, not. Yeah, wait. Actually, maybe. Did this just happen?
I got my shoes in my bag. I'm ready to go.
I don't know. Mine might be in my bag too. My bag's here.
Unloaded the gin. Don't have to worry about that anymore. Son of a gun.
Good deal. What else?
What are we doing tonight? Are we doing dinner with Pete?
What?
Or he's in late, right?
Oh my goodness! Right? Is that a thing?
I don't know that. I asked you. I was the first to ask. You can't then ask.
I
a
don't.
follow-up
I'm not
question.
aware of any additional plans. So we hired a business coach.
It's going great.
So far, so good. So tomorrow's our first like all day session with him, and
I hope he takes it easy on us.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too.
But I'm not aware of there being any activity outside of that.
I think
so,
I'm going to turn my phone off tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I think I
100%.
might.
Yeah.
Like off, not.
Off.
Yep.
So that'll be really good. But to my knowledge, we don't have dinner tonight. You let me know if that's. So the other day, I didn't know we had dinner on Tuesday night either. But Mike Forflow from Everlast shot us a text message the day before on Monday. He shot you and I a group text. And he's like, "Hey guys," I should read the actual text, but he's like, "Hey, Darren
Wanna
and
grab
I,
a bite.
and Darren is the good fella up, the distributor for them. Darren and I are in town tomorrow afternoon. He might have said late afternoon even.
Yep.
In
late
are you guys
afternoon.
around to have for a bite to eat?" And I don't know why, because going back and realizing that he said late afternoon they were coming in should have been a dead giveaway. But in my head, it was like it was lunch the whole time. Not for 1 second did I even be like, I wonder if he's talking dinner or lunch. And so in my head, it was like it was lunch. And I was like, I better check with my wife, make sure I'm like, because she works and on the day she's working, I'm home. And I was like, I better double check. So I didn't reply to him right away. Checked with my wife. Yep, she's working Wednesday, so I'm good for lunch on Tuesday. I didn't reply to Mike until the next morning. And I replied back. I was like, yep, sounds good. And then he never replied all morning. And then you finally replied randomly to the group too at like 11:08 or something like that. And you're like, yep, good to go. And then nothing from Mike. Don't hear back
I
from
didn't
Mike.
really pay attention to the text because I saw that you had replied. And so I was like, well, I don't need to pay attention to this anymore. Like Shane's got this one. And then you were like, you walked past my office at noon. And you're like, well, I guess lunch isn't happening. So let's go. And I was like, why are you so angry? Like, he's not here till mid-afternoon.
I didn't bring a lunch. I just think that everybody waits on me. Right. And
So
so,
you're all
like,
pissed.
I
You're like-
hadn't replied. And I just like, before I even replied, I already decided I was going and didn't bring a lunch
Yep.
because I had decided I was going,
So,
but hadn't let Mike know I was going yet. And so then when I finally replied, it was just like, well, this is happening now. It didn't matter that I hadn't given him an answer for 18 hours.
yep.
he wouldn't make other plans. How dare he? So he never replies. In the, like lunch at noon, it's noon, and I'm like, well, doesn't look like we're doing lunch, so I didn't bring one. You want to go get something to eat or what? So we buggered off and went and got something to eat. Mike shows up here at 4:00. He just walks in, sits down, pulls the laptop out. He's like, "What's your Wi-Fi password?" Starts doing some work. I was like, "We're just gonna pretend that you didn't blow us off for lunch or what?" He's like, "Lunch? No, dinner. You guys are good for dinner, right?" I was like,
No.
"Oh shit."
No,
Didn't you say
sense.
lunch? He's like, no, I said dinner. And I was like, I don't think so. And I go back and I was like, oh man, you said a bite to eat. And
Yeah.
I just like, that sounded really informal to me. So it was lunch.
It has to be lunch because you would have planned a dinner.
Right. So anyways, that was my fault.
That's funny.
So like, if we had lunch tonight, a dinner tonight,
I'll check Pete's flights.
it's quite possible that I just don't know about it.
I think he's in kind of late. So I think he gets in at 9 or something. But
He seems like a party animal. We could meet up at 10 o'clock.
absolutely
for
not.
Wings. Okay. This is part 3 in the series that we're doing, kind of.
This is how to spend the money.
Right. So
We did 2 about how to save the money.
Yep.
Now you're gonna spend it.
Now you trust us.
We're getting
We're
you.
gonna get it all.
Okay.
No, 2 weeks ago we talked about if you were going to build a budget composite deck, how would you go about doing that? How do you build a good
We talked
quality
about the materials.
composite deck? Yeah. What do you choose? Because there's a lot of shit out there, and there's a lot of garbage out there. So how do you find the sweet spot between the garbage product that's going to cost you money in the long run, or the short run even, and the really expensive stuff that's out there? What can I do to like be reasonable with my budget, but still get the maintenance-free composite deck experience that looks good and holds up over time? So we gave you all those tips on every piece of the deck that you should spend that money on. And then last week we followed that up with, here's some tips on the planning and installation side of things that'll save you a ton of money. Well, let's say you're loaded.
You won
Right?
you won the Powerball.
Like, and I mean drunk, and you have no, and your wallet is just flapping in the wind.
That happens after the Powerball. I'm sure of it. I'm certain if I won the Powerball.
But let's say you are willing to spend the money because you just want to build this thing one time. You want it to be built you want it to be like the best quality deck, and you want it to last your entire lifetime. You're whatever, 30, 35, you're well off. You're like, give me the best. I want this thing. I'm in my final home, my dream home. I want this deck to be standing 50 years from now and look like it did today.
The property that I'm
You
thinking
mean like
of?
a pile of lumber on the ground today, or like no problem?
I'm thinking like if you're building a cabin,
So
So
you were gonna say castle.
if you have your house and then you're going to build a cabin that's waterfront, like lakefront property, and you know that that's going to stay in your family. Like you're going to be
And you're
there
gonna
and
retire
you're going to
there.
raise the kids and then you're going to retire to that place, right? Like in my head, this is that property. It
Okay.
should last forever. It's top of mind because my dad bought a lot in White Bear, and he's going to build
He did,
he's going to build a cabin. He said a house. He's going to build a house.
and like move out of Arcola and go up to
I
the
don't know what
lake.
they'll do with that.
And what about the hunting cabin? Keep that?
Oh yeah, that's mine. The hunting
Oh.
cabin's mine.
Okay.
It's been like built knowing that it was going to get passed down. So they have to sell it to me. They can't gift it to me because if they gift it to me, then I have to pay taxes on it. So they're going to sell it to me. You want to know how much I'm going to pay for it?
Buck.
$1.
Yeah.
So
Good deal. Well,
Anyways.
that's exciting. Because you guys, didn't you grow up with a cabin at White Bear?
yeah, we did.
And they don't have that anymore?
No, if we just walked away from that. So
You're just hoping it's back?
it just left. We just
Any
left.
squatters here?
Yeah. And so what happens, because it's all leased land, you don't ever own the property. You just have like 99-year leases.
Right.
And so if you leave, then the taxes accumulate. And if somebody wants to then lease that property, they just show up and pay the taxes that are unpaid, and then it's theirs.
Gotcha.
And so mom and dad were like, well, we're out of here. And they left. This is like, we never tore the cabin down. We didn't take anything out of it, as far as I recall. Maybe they went back and got stuff, but I don't remember going there and taking stuff down.
And so did somebody did eventually
I've
take
never
that
been
over?
back. I assume that somebody bought that lot and then built a cabin there.
It's still there.
If it was still there, I would
Playing
absolutely
Florida Georgia Line.
take a bunch of stuff out of it because there was like old wood paneling walls and we had written on them as kids, like my sister and I. And then
Yeah.
the cabin was built by my mom's parents. So like all like there was writing on that wall from like the early 40s. It was super cool.
That's damn near like archaeological.
Right. And then we just
Exploration
like,
here.
we're like, meh, we're gone.
Look at these hieroglyphs on the wall.
That's the first house
What does
I've-
this one say? It says Carla sniffs farts. It's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, these are
Who wrote that?
real intelligent ancestors.
Carla did. I would never write that, Mom. Carla would do that. I was like, she wouldn't write that about herself.
So that's funny that you say that right now because just this morning I saw a TikTok and it was like a best man's wedding speech, I think, and and the best man was the groom's brother.
I've seen this.
Have you the paintball thing? I don't know the exact story, but the thing was like, he's like, I just thought that I should let you know that like, remember back when whatever they were, I don't know, 7 or 10 years old or something like that. He's like, I really wanted to watch, I don't know the TV link, but he's like, I really wanted to watch TV. So I took some of your paintballs and I threw them at the neighbor's house.
Yep.
Yeah, like you were watching TV and I went and took your paintballs and threw them at the neighbor's house. And then you got in a ton of shit. And then they like the neighbors came out and like people were like, you must have done this. And we're like, it couldn't have been me. It's not my paintballs. My paintballs are yellow or whatever, right? These are red ones. Those are marks. and the look in the groom's face when he figured out what had just happened, he's like, no, are you serious? Dude, I got in so much trouble over
Like
that.
30 years
It's
later,
way-
he finally confesses to it. I did see that.
And he's just blown away. He's like, you ass. Like, I got in so much trouble. He's like, yeah, well, so thanks for letting me watch TV that day. Like, that worked.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been my paintballs. They're Mark's color.
That's Mark's color. Yeah.
So funny.
That old cabin.
Yeah.
The deck fell off that while I was on it.
Of course.
I was on it. It was myself and there was like 5 of
So
us.
this whole thing of you helping people build safer decks was destiny.
Yeah, because I was on one that fell. God, that is a scary feeling. It only fell like 3 feet. And the ledger let go and the ledger went down and then the supports at the end were still up. And so we all crashed into the house. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was wild.
Scared you so much your nipples got hard? Still hard. 40, 35 years
Here
later.
they are.
Okay.
Leading the industry.
Leading the industry. Yeah. That's funny. So lifetime deck.
materials.
So budget's not a concern. You want the best of the best. You want this thing to not rot away. You want it to be like still structurally sound 50 years from now. You want the nicest railing with the best
Fits
views
and finishes.
Blah blah blah. So here's some suggestions on what you can use to make sure that happens. We're going to go through the same categories of the process of a deck build and suggest products along the way. So the first one we talked about before is footings. What would you do for footings if you were building your forever deck?
I would use helical screw piles. Unless, of course, I was building the deck at the same time that I was building the house. And if I was doing concrete piles for my house, then I would do concrete piles for my deck.
Sure.
If I was doing all of the piles for the whole place at the same time. If the house is done and I'm doing a retrofit, then it's a helical screw pile.
An engineered pile regardless, right?
Correct.
We talked a little bit on the budget one about the Pilex screw piles. That's not what we're talking about here.
Don't do it.
These ones we're talking about, the big, beefy,
12
depends on
inch
your
flight.
region. Our region, they're minimum 10 feet long. Sometimes when you're hitting certain soil conditions, you actually need to torque them up stronger. You need to go deeper. So they'll put extensions on. I've heard of them going 40 to 60 feet deep.
Yeah, it just
Not for
depends.
decks, but for like solar fields and stuff.
Yeah. Depends on what the soil is, right?
Right.
Depends
But these
on,
are serious pipes. It's like 3.5 inch steel pipe galvanized steel pipe going into the ground with a giant helix on it. It's going to bear a ton of weight, torqued up super high. Not going anywhere. Fights the frost really, really effectively because it gets well below the frost line and it anchors itself
Yep.
with the helix at the bottom. It can't be pulled up. You're not pulling that thing straight up. It
Nope.
needs to twist to get out. But you can't twist them. So it doesn't go anywhere. So that or a proper width and depth and strength of concrete pile is fine too.
Yep.
But you like either way engineered for your soil conditions. That's how that thing's not going to move and go anywhere.
Yep.
So that's really good. Framing. Budget we talked about just doing pressure treated framing. There are better options.
Yep. There's a couple out there right now. So you can do steel framing from Fortress or Newcastle.
Yep.
Both really strong, heavy systems.
Yep.
Outdoor has an aluminum framing system.
Yep.
Which lasts forever as well. And then Owens Corning has a fiberglass composite fiberglass framing system.
Yeah.
Also lifetime. Like it'll just last forever.
Yep. So all great options if you're looking, because none of them have any sort of organic content to them. It's steel, aluminum, or composite and fiberglass.
Yep.
None of them can.
They just can't rot.
They can't rot.
Some of them, like the steel, would not perform super well around salt water.
Yeah, that was one caveat I was going to say as well. If you're within 1 mile of of the ocean, of salt water, not like a saltwater pool, that's fine, but saltwater ocean, as they all are, not many freshwater oceans around here.
Not many.
Then your warranty drops to 10-year warranty because you introduce potential rust. These are galvanized and powder coated. So if that coating maintains integrity, then you're probably still fine. But during installation, if you do get a cut end that wasn't repainted or a scratch or whatever, then there's potential for rust.
Yep.
So in which case you might be better off with the composite or the aluminum framing if you're within a mile off the coast. The steel is a great option anywhere else. But these are systems that will give you warranties of I think 25 years to lifetime warranties, I believe, on one of them. I can't remember if it's Owens Corning or somebody has a lifetime warranty, I think.
Yep.
But regardless, even after a 25-year warranty, if you're installing a steel frame deck anywhere not within a mile of the coast, that thing's going to last. You're going to get your 75 years out of it. Did your warranty expire at some point? Yes, but the steel's not going anywhere.
That's right.
It doesn't degrade.
Yep.
So it's a super, super long-lasting framing solution for your deck. Not only that, but none of these solutions will crack, warp, twist, sag.
That's the part that I like.
Any of this
They're
stuff,
just
right?
so true.
Your deck is flat the day it gets built, and it's flat 50 years from now. And so you're good. You don't have to check it see if it's a dry rot somewhere, if the termites got after it or whatever. You're just good in 40 years. You don't have to really check anything.
Yeah.
So it's the permanent solution for a deck. It's great stuff. Now all of these things are going to cost more than the budget options, obviously. I keep seeing a hair in here.
Yeah, I can see it. You want me to grab it for you?
Yeah.
That's great.
It's blowing in my breath. And
Right there.
So all these solutions are going to come at a premium, obviously. When we talked about the helical screw piles or concrete piles last week, 2 weeks ago, we talked about $40 for a footing on the budget side. These are going to be 10 times that, the helical screw piles, right?
Yeah.
It's $400.
$400, $450. Yeah.
Your framing is probably going to be a 2.5 to 3 times multiplier over treated framing just on the frame.
Yep.
So it is a bit of an investment. Now that said, the treated framing is the cheapest part of the deck anyway. So 2.5, 3 times that isn't the scary part. If your composite costed 2 or 3 times more, that would start to get scary.
That's the next on the list, as we're about to do.
So decking. Last, for the budget, we suggested some good entry-level lines.
Yep.
Now, if you're going to do a 50-year deck, what are you building?
I'm probably picking a PVC. Probably. Because it's they all have a lifetime structural warranty on them.
Right.
And then they have at least 50-year color fade.
Yep.
Stain. So
some options we suggested were the Wolf Serenity.
Wolf Serenity.
Great option. Pure PVC board.
Yep.
50-year fade and stain, lifetime warranty. Everlast has their Apex Plus
good
or the
traction.
Pioneer lines. Same story. Long ass warranty. AZEK from TimberTech. Again,
absolutely. Yep.
leader in the industry. These are all companies that are going to be around still in 50 years too.
Yep. Did you see some post from Chris CM Boost? Did you see his post the other day?
No.
He was replacing some Zuri boards, and they had delaminated. There was 6 of them.
As they do.
It was they were broken. The cap had cracked, and they were peeling off the top. It was wild.
So that's been the problem with photo laminated decking to this point. That's why that's been something that Zuri's dealt with. That's been the issue, I think, with the old Murite stuff was that delamination. It's the thing that Everlast has to make sure they figure out in the Pioneer decking, which they believe they have. But that's the question is okay, here's another photo print decking. Will this this one hold up? And so they are manufacturing it differently because they're aware that happens.
Yeah.
And so the reason that happens is that, and traditionally you're using a foam core core to the board, in which case you are then printing off a photo print layer, paper layer essentially, and adhering that to the core. and then you're doing an acrylic cap and adhering that to the paper
To
film.
the paper.
So you got like 3 layers, and they're independently expanding and contracting at different rates
Yep.
in the sun. And at some point, the adhesive lets go because of the expanded contraction in the different layers, and you get delamination. What they're saying that they have done is twofold to combat this. One, they've layered in, and good Lord, if somebody from Everlast wants to make sure, like, correct me on any details of this, I'm just going off memory of what we talked to their like product manager and the owner of the company was telling us how they've done this.
Yep.
One, they've put in those fiberglass sheets within the core of the board, which reduces the expansion contraction to the same as what a decorator's mineral-based composite would do, which is like less than a 16th of an inch on a 20-foot board in an 80-degree swing. So it's very minimal movement now
In the core.
in the core of the board. Then they print the photo print layer directly onto the cord. It's not a paper layer that's then adhered to the core. It's printed directly on the core. So it's one
less
layer.
layer. Yeah.
And then they've got their acrylic cap on top. So now instead of 2 layers of adhesive holding things together, there's one.
Yep.
And so they've eliminated one of the potential failure points and then made the board more stable so that it's not expanding and contracting like it used to. And they're
Okay.
saying that in their testing now has solved the delamination problem. So time will tell.
Time will tell, right?
Yeah.
It
So-
looks super good. So, anyways, that's
but
what I
it's-
would pick. And the other reason
Yeah.
I would pick a full PVC is that I think they cut a little bit nicer. I think the screws go in a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
You do have the option to bend and curve them if you want.
Yeah.
If that's something that's happening.
Yeah.
Just makes life a little bit easier.
And they clean really nice. You can get stuff off them.
I like that
Easy.
they're usually a lower, like the texture on the surface is really shallow. Like, you know, when you look at the fiber on Good Life line, it has like deep graining, deep embossing.
Yeah.
And the PVCs are usually pretty smooth. I like that.
Yeah, it
Better
depends what you're looking at,
traction.
right?
So yeah.
Generally with the AZEK and the Wolf, I would say that's the case. And then on Everlast Pioneer, it's like it's completely smooth. That
Yeah.
acrylic cap has like a mild texture to it, but it's not an embossed texture. The look of the board is created by that print layer,
Yeah.
not by the embossing necessarily. So yeah, that holds true for those ones. Their Everlast Apex line does have a little bit deeper grooving, but
Mhm.
not narrow deep grooves.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
Like they would wash out easier than the narrow deep grooves of like a Trex Transcend or a Fiber on Good Life or something.
Yeah, that's right.
So anyways, the moral of the story is go with a product that provides that big ass warranty because obviously they believe it's going to last that long. And the only products you're going to find that do that are ones that don't have organic content in them. Now, Moisture Shield, I think with some of their wood plastic composites also gives you 50 years because they've encapsulated every wood fiber in plastic and they say it'll last that long. So just shop for that. The 25-year warranties now are maybe not what you're shopping for if you're looking for a 70-year deck. So go with a 50 plus.
Yeah, the board will probably last that long. Like a 25-year warranty teed deck board will probably last 50 years still because it's mostly plastic.
Yeah, probably. Especially in our climate where it's dry and we don't have termites.
Yeah.
So like dry being the main thing.
Yeah.
And then railing. So this one's a little bit tough because it's completely aesthetic. Like do what you want to do. But I think that one of the coolest railings on the market right now is going to be the Vista frameless.
Yep.
Certainly I could argue for some sort of cable rail as well. Like it'd
Totally.
be sweet.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty excited about the Vista frameless. And so the Vista frameless actually has 2 frameless systems. One is the post style and one is the spigot style. I'm talking about the spigot style because this one doesn't have any posts on the side of the glass and it has the LED light in the base.
Right. You have the option to add some lighting,
Right.
which is always really good
Yeah.
on a
Much
lifelong deck.
like you've seen from Regal Crystal Rail or from IG Railing. Same idea.
Yep.
Light's brighter in these ones and they change. So over Crystal Rail, they change colors. Crystal Rail is a solid color. And over IG Railing, the light is brighter in the Vista one. So I think that's a good thing as well. But those are like, if I was picking railing on my deck that had a view that I wanted to last forever, that'd be a pretty good one. Glass and... Do I need to look at what you just wrote down? Or is
No,
that for
that's
you?
for me.
I wasn't sure if you're making me notes.
As you're like talking, and there's like all these things happening in my head about like stuff that I need to do for customers. Or like,
Yeah.
I need to start writing this down, or I'm going
it's
to lose
gone.
them. So, yeah, the Vista. So you talked about Vista, and there's one of these customers. They want to change from Century Scenic to the Vista Spigot because they're like,
Good.
oh, we really love that spigot. We just Right. So I was like,
Absolutely.
yeah. So the
It's-
cost is going to be the same. It's just a much cleaner look. And they're like, can we make that happen? I was like, you betcha we
Yes.
can.
Yes.
So
It's so good. So that'd be like, there's a major wow factor to that when the lights come on. But if you don't want the lights, you don't have to put them in.
Yeah,
Like
I
maybe
don't-
you want a more classic look. You don't want it to light up at night. That's fine.
yeah. And
It's
I think they're
still
doing
awesome.
that. I think they're not going to light them up. They're
Yeah.
just going to have the clean spigot. Like,
Yeah, still so good.
so good.
I love cable rail too. So if you don't want to do the glass solution, go with like a sweet cable rail system too.
Yeah.
That would also work really well and last forever. It's all stainless and presumably aluminum posts.
Yep.
So you can't go wrong either way. Also, if you want privacy, like a
Yeah.
taller railing, then Vista also, this would work well with, well, maybe not visually well with this, but visually well with their regular rail system. They've now got 6 foot tall privacy
yeah.
slats that are aluminum powder coated wood grain privacy slats.
Yeah, those are nice.
They look awesome. So it's a wood grain look, but it's an aluminum slat. Like I think it's 5.5 inches wide or
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah.
They look like a deck board,
Looks like a deck board.
but it's aluminum. So there's zero chance of it
Deteriorating.
rusting, rotting, anything.
Yep.
Looks really, really nice. What else are you writing down here?
I got to do Warman privacy wall.
So some really great railing options on that.
You want to know what that's about? Warman privacy wall.
I don't know.
So
Yeah,
we
sure.
built a privacy wall for these people like 3 years ago. Hoft posts.
Oh, yeah.
And then it blew off their deck.
Yeah.
So now I have to take these posts, and they did it with white. So I got to get these posts ordered and then
Oh, yeah, that one.
powder coated. And
So we had a pretty vicious windstorm there.
Oh, it was bad.
Maybe not quite a month ago.
yeah,
2 people actually had Hoff posts that blew. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. The base plate's bent, I think is actually what it was, wasn't it?
yeah. On one of them, the post failed, and on this one, it ripped there were 6-inch GRKs into framing, and it ripped the GRKs out of the framing.
Like, how is that even possible?
My question is, how do I put that back and be like, you're good now? We're gonna add more posts,
Like a little PL premium.
right? They should have put PL Premium. Brad nailed that thing on.
Yeah, crazy.
Anyways,
Wild. Pretty remarkable, like extreme weather, but regardless. Stairs. So there's no doubt, like this is subjective as well, but I think the nicest looking stairs are fully enclosed. So they got the
On the
fascia on the
back side?
sides. They're mitered on the steps. The treads are mitered.
do you think the back is closed too?
It absolutely could
On
be.
the
If there's a
underside?
walking space, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like if there's a patio space underneath, sorry, then I would close in the bottom too. Yeah,
It's super sharp.
for sure. So that looks really great. But the point of this being like trim them out so that you don't see any of the stringers
Yep.
beneath. Finish them fully as opposed to using like a metal stringer the stringers are exposed
Ugh.
and whatnot. So and then the picture frame have the board color combination match the decking itself. So like
Mhm.
inner lighter tread or whatever, and then picture framed outer tread. That looks so sharp. So I would do that too. Is that gonna like that doesn't necessarily make it last longer, but if you're pulling out all the stops, that absolutely looks a lot nicer.
Yeah, taping those stairs up and sealing them, like using some G tape on there,
Right. Well, unless you're using
unless you use a
Steel.
steel stringer,
Right.
right? But on your stairs, steel stair system is still not perfect for any of the manufacturers. It's not.
no,
It's not
and
great.
you could if you weren't going to trim it all out, you could use those Regal Quick Step aluminum stringers for your stairs, even if you're using a Fortress Evolution steel framing system. Because I do think
That
that
can
those
match.
are, but they're a predetermined rise run, so
Yeah.
that has to work for you.
Yeah.
But
I don't love that.
Fortress does have a good stair system relative to the stair systems from all the other alternative framing options. Because the other
They have
alternative
that
framing
tray. options
options either don't have a solution for it,
Yeah.
or it's a very like farmer fix. You got to figure it out on the fly. There's no like system for it.
Yeah.
But, lighting, man, this is like if you have some budget, this is where things can really get cool. So I think if you have budget to, and this is your forever cottage or whatever, light up that yard, not just the deck, but I'm putting in a full Inlight package.
Yeah.
Inlight being the brand, because they've got some remarkable fixtures, like some really, really the coolest lights on the planet are in the portfolio of Inlight for your landscape lighting.
Yeah.
Like the pendants and the like all the lighting they have there, they've got every like aesthetic or like taste, I should say.
Yep.
For every application, whether you're lighting the house or the trees or the yard or whatever.
I like that so they've expanded their transformer lineup as well. So now you can have different zones. And so you could light just like you could have your deck on a separate zone than your yard.
Yeah.
And so if you wanted to light everything up, you could, or you can just light certain areas, which is fantastic. But
Yeah.
the idea of like being able to have the same temperature of light all through your yard, or
Yeah.
and different styles too, right? You have like, you could have spigot ones that are on your walkway, and then you can have ones in your like along your fence shining at trees, and you can uplight trees and uplight your fence, and then deck lights. It's just like, it's such a great system, and the light is so good, and it has such a strong warranty.
Yeah.
You know.
And they can plan out your lighting.
Yeah.
What do you want to say? Like your lighting
Like it's a design.
essentially for
Yeah.
your whole yard, to make sure that you're using the right fixtures with the right, like, I guess, angle of light,
Yeah, or scope
Beam
or
of light.
space or
Yeah.
beam, right? Beam angle.
the right strength of light. Like, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they'll
it is a
design it
premium
for you.
fixture, so it belongs here, not in the budget category.
But you
Uh,
already won the Powerball, so
right.
it don't matter.
Shade. If you're wanting to add some shade to the structure, and you want to keep it maintenance free, there's a lot of options. But Fortress Steel, if you're doing the deck already in the Fortress Steel, like the framing, you might as well continue on and do your pergola structure with it as well.
Absolutely.
You can get very creative with all sorts of styles. They did release some parts that are pergola specific too. So,
Yep. So you can put ends on,
Yeah.
like on.
little rafter tails, different styles and whatnot too. But the World's Your Oyster and stuff, you can kind of build whatever style you'd like, but it's going to be maintenance free. It's black. So if you don't want anything other than black, then this isn't the solution, but it's like black and maintenance free aside from washing it, rinsing it off.
Yeah.
It'll last forever. It's really cool stuff. You can mix materials, like the display we did at our Regina showroom. We trimmed it out a bit with some composite decking to match the deck, which just gave it like a really cool look.
It's so sharp.
It looks part of the whole project, not just like this pergola slapped on top.
Yeah.
You could do some sort of like Lexan roof system, polycarbonate roof system on top for dry
Yep.
space if you'd like. And you can add lighting to it. Add some lighting. The posts
pendant.
are hollow. The rafters are hollow. You can run cabling through it for a
Yep.
really clean lighting installation. Yeah, those hanging pendant lights.
You could do pendant lights through there.
Pendant light, so cool.
Yeah.
So
Like Keystone did some of that. They did some pergolas and then had their pendant lights hanging from.
Yeah.
This is so sharp.
and then speaking of Keystone, you could also do like a louvered roof system. So like
Yeah.
a structure, louvered roof or something. If you want
Yeah.
like a motorized louver that can be dry or let sun in, like if you got some money to spend there, the World's Your Oyster on that as well.
Absolutely.
Outdoor kitchens. So if you spent what you spent already, then you're probably wanting to put in
We're
a,
halfway there.
a kitchen space outside too. Very, very common now to have your smokers, your barbecue, your pizza ovens now outside.
Yep.
And if you're going to have all that stuff, you should have an entire full counter space for that to live. There's a number of systems out there. We really like the Wolf Endurance cabinet lineup for a couple reasons. One, it's aluminum. So all the benefits of stainless steel without the cost of stainless steel. Don't get me wrong. This is still pricey stuff,
Yep.
just not as pricey as stainless steel.
Yep.
And if it's powder coated anyway, then it doesn't matter what the metal is, as long as it's not going to rust away and
Yep.
and deteriorate.
Yep.
All soft close hinges. They've got different door styles now. They got a few different colors. They've got countertops now for them as well.
Yep.
Really, really slick looking system.
Goes together so nice, right?
Yep.
It's like
Yep.
fastens together.
Islands. They've got the island options now too.
Yep.
You can put on wheels to have a rolling island as well. So super nice stuff.
quick. Yeah.
And that obviously is like, that's leveling up your outdoor space. when
Yeah,
start
and you
adding
can
the
do the
kitchen.
countertops with their aluminum finish, or place the cabinets and then get like
Sure.
a local stone company to come and put like a top on it, right?
Yep.
Granite or marble or whatever it is that you choose.
Yep.
So
There are other options out there too. Like there's HDPE cabinet manufacturers, so plastic,
Yep.
as well. It's out there, but and then water management is the final category we had on here. And so if this is a walkout deck with a patio beneath, I think Zip Up Ceilings is your answer. Zip Up Ceilings is very easy to install,
yeah,
very easy to maintain. If you ever were to drop something through the gaps of the deck boards, or just like maybe you got a lot of maple trees around or something that seed a lot, if they need to clean it out, the
You have the
panels pop
option to
out
do
easy
that.
enough to clean it.
Yeah.
So that's a big advantage over some of the other systems that you can't get into afterwards, like a Trex Rain Escape.
Yep.
Also, they've got some different finishes on it. So the common ones being kind of like white or black or some Cape Cod gray,
yeah.
like different color options. And then you can get smooth or serrated finishes to it. But they've also got, what do they call it? Is it called like their designer series or something? I can't remember.
I don't remember that.
They're wood grain finishes.
I was
that
like,
are gorgeous.
they're really nice.
Yeah.
Like,
Couple wood grain finishes. So instead of doing maybe like a tongue and groove, whatever,
cedar or pine,
sure,
or whatever.
yeah, or a thermery. There's some thermery stuff out there now too. Instead of doing that, you could do the wood grain finish on a zip up ceiling. So you're getting 2-in-1. You're getting your water management built in.
Yep.
And a super nice looking wood grain finish. Now it costs more than the colors as well. Like it's twice as much as colors. But if you've got the money to spend and you're looking for a really nice ceiling underneath as well,
Yeah.
it looks so good.
It's so sharp.
So that's an option. There are other ceiling systems out there too. Zip Up is just like, I think, one of the best as far as ease of install, ease of maintenance, and looks.
Yeah.
Looks really nice too.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Hey, that would be a nice deck.
What do you think the cost on that is per square foot?
About 100. Oh, I was going to be a smart ass, but until you said square foot.
Yeah. If you had to
How
guess.
much is a car? I was going to give you a smart ass answer.
Yeah.
To
11.
Like if you're doing all of this?
Yeah.
Oh man, you're like 300.
I was like, say 300. I was thinking like it's 275 to 3.
Yeah.
Is my guess, but
Yeah. I mean, you're picking the highest end finish on everything here.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So yeah, for sure you're in the hundreds of dollars.
$300 a square foot, give or take,
Yeah.
is what. And then versus your budget one, your material list on that budget one,
40, 50.
okay.
Well, it depends. Like if are you doing these extras?
I wouldn't do any of the extras. I would
None of
just
the
do
extras?
like framing and like, yeah, leveler, treated framing.
probably $35.
Okay.
What were you going to say?
No,
Higher?
I think I had that lower. I thought it was like 25 because I was trying to like account for no waste and proper dimension and blah, blah, blah. But
Well, you're decking your
probably-
10, right?
yeah, it's
350,
probably
you're
30.
Plus fasteners. Your framing is 8 to 10. Like you're probably at $16 to $18 just in those two things. Add in your footings and your railing. Yeah. 25, 30 maybe. Yeah. Depends on the height too. Stairs are a big cost, like we said.
Stairs are a huge cost. So
like
just
literally,
like
it's a 10 times multiplier.
yeah,
between
when people come in and they're
budget
like, "How
and-
much does a deck cost?" and it's like, "Well, there it is. Like we could supply a deck for you that is $30 a square foot, or we could do one that's $300 a square foot, and really anywhere in between."
Yeah.
So
So if you think about this, like, so we're talking about $300 a square foot, and we're talking Canadian dollars here. For our American, that's like $75 a square foot for our American
Ish.
friends, right? And most of our audience is American. We should have put these in American dollars. When you think about, so $300 is scary, and realistically, that's probably like $225 American, $240 maybe.
Yep.
It sounds like a huge number, but that's what your kitchen costs
so your house costs.
as well.
Yeah.
Was that same amount. And
Yeah.
in this case, you're getting higher end finishes than what you put in your house at that price.
Yep.
And you've added on like pergolas and lighting packages, like
Mhm.
stuff that's far more
And do you have lights in
extravagant.
your house? You
Yeah.
probably don't even have lights in your house.
not uplighting your trees and your,
Yeah.
but you're getting a lot in this,
You
right?
are getting a lot in there.
Like this is not just a deck,
Nope. This
This
is
is
an
a-
outdoor living space.
right? This is a high end luxury outdoor living space for the same price as what your average kitchen would cost.
Yep.
So that's the wow factor on what we just talked about is like incredible.
Yes.
It's like,
Yep.
it's the bee's knees.
Yeah. I just wanted to be able to like say, like how big that difference is because people,
They'd be wondering.
I'd like a car.
Yeah.
Okay. How much? Well, what are you spending? Like, how much are you spending on your car? Because that's where we're going to start. That's how I'm going to help you.
It's always such a good analogy.
And so when you walk
Car
in
one.
and people are like, I'm going to build a deck. Okay. How much are we going to spend on this? What's happening here?
Because
Well, I don't want to tell you.
what we just like,
Okay.
the analogy with trucks, like you can get the work truck trim level, which is like really basic stuff. You got air conditioning, but you don't got much
Only
else.
when you're going faster than 60 and the window's down.
Right. And those work trucks these days are probably 55, 60 grand. They're
Yep.
just like a work truck, basic, trimmed out, like the budget deck version of a truck.
Yep.
It's still getting you where you need to go. It still doesn't require any more maintenance. Like,
Yep.
well, from a cleaning perspective, let's say,
Yep.
maybe it's not built quite as solid. Or there's the Hummer EV I saw the other day that was 160 grand, but oh man,
Not the
was
same
that
vehicle.
thing freaking cool.
Yep.
And that's a different budget, but you're spending 3 times more, and it's still just getting you from point A to point B.
Yep.
You still wash it through the same car wash. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
so that's a good analogy. Is like, there's just different qualities of products, different like uses, functions, etc. So always a good analogy, the car one. Anything else? Lifetime. What else? Is there anything else that you'd add to a Lifetime? We didn't really talk about the accessory side, like fire tables or water features and stuff like that, or hot tubs or pools or anything like that. Obviously, that's above and beyond.
Yeah. Not that I can think of, like some of the, yeah. When you start into those higher end things, you just get, like, you just have tighter finishes, right? So of course it's going to be all like Cortex down, and on your budget one, you don't have to do that. You could,
Right.
you could just use normal color match screws. And so anyways, no, I don't really have anything.
You're good.
Yeah.
Fine. Well, let's get out of here then. I'm tired. You?
Yeah.
Have a good week, everybody. See you next time.
Hey, thank you for listening to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. Now you know what we're about. Check the site, come and shop. UltimateDeckShop.com. Hit us right away for sponsorships, or tell us if you want to collaborate. Let's go. Check us out on any social networks. Thank you for listening.